Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Twat Talk. I'm your host today, Roscoe M, and today I'm without my regular co-host. However, I'm not alone. I have with me today another interview, another guest. We've had quite a few on the podcast, streamers, YouTubers, that sort of stuff. And today we have another fantastic streamer, the absolutely wonderful, the man, the myth, the legend, the sexy SnookyShogun. How are we doing?
Ooh la la, that was hell of an intro right there. You're picking me right up. Ooh my God, I need a cold shower after that one. Good gracious, Ross.
Do like the proper TV intro.
Fair play, man. I'm glad I'm sat down. That's all I'm gonna say right now, my friend.
So how are you doing today? How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, dude. I'm doing good. I'm very, very lazy. I'm just gonna say that right now. So with the way my schedule works and the way I work my normal everyday life around the streaming and the the content creation and everything.
Yeah.
I gotta take every kind of opportunity for some form of laziness at some point. So yeah. And in a nutshell, I woke up about roughly 7 minutes before this podcast was about to start.
Love it.
So I managed to just quickly get some coffee, and I am all yours, baby. I am all yours. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. So
how are you, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. On a new daily schedule, just trying to have a healthier routine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Waking up early, eating regular meals, all that sort of stuff. Taking a bit of time for self-care, essentially, while I have a bit of a break.
Yeah, it's gotta be done. It's gotta be done.
Trying to get that work-life balance in order as well.
Oh, I know the feeling with the work-life balance. It's before I got into content creation, I was in a job where it's pretty much your soul is attached to the job, and anything outside, if you get to do anything outside, or if you get to have a day off, that's just a bonus. You should be thanking the company for it.
Yeah, you should be thankful that we're allowing you the time to be a person.
Yeah, exactly. Exactamundo. Yo, you thought you just came in and expected that we treat you like a human being? How naive of you.
Yeah. So, as you're talking about content creation and stuff like that, do you want to give a quick intro for probably the very few people who are watching this that haven't heard of you before? What is it that you do?
Well, to start off, very few people, you say, for now. For now, keep doing what you're doing, my friend, and there'll be 10, 20, 100 times, 1,000 times more people watching this in the future. So just keep doing what you're doing, my friend. I think you make awesome content.
Thank you very much.
But for those of you who don't know me, my name is SnookyShogun. I live stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/SnookyShogun. I stream usually a schedule of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 3 p.m. GMT or BST start time. I do a mainly survival horror themed broadcast. So you'll find games like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dead Space. That can range from casual playthroughs, including first playthroughs, to challenge runs, mainly challenge runs, actually. So I do a fair amount of pretty cruel challenges, and I don't exactly know why. I just know I enjoy the pain. So I just run with it. So we do no damage seems to be like the staple of my channel at the moment. Kind of started a little bit of no damage last year, and it's become quite popular, and it's a growing community. It's like I know most people, when they think of challenge running in video games, one of the first things people would think of is speed running. I think that's probably one of the more just thought of when it comes to standard challenge running in everyday games. Then of course you've got the esports categories, which are like your Call of Duties and your Apex and Valorant. I don't know too much about those, but the no damage is pretty much a pretty formidable challenge run in itself, and that's what I tend to do. That's what I That's where I go on. Oh, I also make a lot of dick jokes, and we talk a lot about like really sus stuff, penises.
Yeah.
You may hear the odd curse word here and there, but I'm sure that's nothing you haven't heard from our boy Ross already.
Oh, they hear plenty of swearing from me, honestly. I
This is
never
why we
stop
bond.
swearing. I never stop swearing.
This is literally why we bond. I swear that was probably like the first word I ever said when I was a baby. They were waiting for me to say mama, and I just turned around and probably said cunt or something.
Awesome. And for any of you that found what Snooky described interesting, all the links will be in the description for the episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening over on Spotify. The links will be in the description for the episode. Go give him a follow, subscribe to his YouTube. It's amazing stuff that you're doing, honestly. And
Thank you,
the
man.
amount of time and dedication that you put into it is fucking insane.
Yeah, thank you.
I have no idea how you do it.
To be fair, the motivation, the thing that keeps me going is just the chat interaction. So you'll always see that like I try and I like to entertain. I like to put on a show, and I like to make people laugh. And if if I can go in and do that, then I've done my job. The whole thing with Resident Evil, particularly with challenge running, is Resident Evil is my favorite video game franchise. It is just what I've grown up playing and what I always go back to playing. Like I'm a huge video game fan in general. Like I love all sorts of video games, not just survival horror and Resident Evil, but it always seems that I tend to go back to the Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
And
I go back to Resi quite a lot since I started playing it, and it's now become an in-joke that I never shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's become an in-joke.
Yeah, it's basically my inside joke of just like, oh fuck, here he goes, he's talking about Resi again.
It becomes an in-joke for me that, oh fuck, he's playing Resident Evil again today. Well, one of the no damage runs I did took me 5 months of grinding just alone to be able to pull off.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much one of the most intense challenges I've had to do. And that involved grinding a lot off stream as well. Putting hours upon hours into just honing the every single segment of the game and being prepared for any bullshit the game throws at you. Because this is another thing. Capcom loves to cheat. Resident Evil loves to cheat. I swear there's a little person on the other end of the game that I'm playing who's like, bollocks, this guy's getting close to beating this game, no damage now. We need to throw some random bullshit at him. You're like, I'm not even kidding you. The game I'm referring to is Resident Evil 3 Remake. And back in May, 3 months ago, I beat this game on Inferno difficulty, no save, no damage. Which was one of the toughest things I've done, but it took constant grinding. I was going to say, if
I could just cut in there for those that haven't played it, Inferno is the hardest difficulty in the game?
Yeah, it's the hardest difficulty and often seen as a bit of a meme difficulty.
Yeah, and this man did it without taking damage. The fuck?
Yeah. And I'm still having nightmares. Literally. It'd be something as ridiculous as you'll get to a certain point in the game that you've done hundreds of times, because you'll not only play through these sections while you're doing a no damage run, but you'll make save points and go back and practice as much as you can. And stuff happens that you've never seen before in your life after attempt number 350 or something like that. You'll get to points in the game where you've done this section hundreds of times or even thousands of times in some cases, and the game will still throw random bullshit at you that you've never seen in your life. One of the things I asked was, have you played the remakes yet, or the newer remakes?
Funnily enough, I started on the remakes.
Oh.
Resi 3 Remake was my introduction to the series.
Oh.
So that's where I started. People know this already about me, but I'll state it for you. I watched someone else play the original Resident Evil when I was about 5 or 6 and was shit scared.
Yeah.
Stayed away from it for years, and then 2020 rolled around in the pandemic, and I just decided to give it a go. Tried out the demos for Resi 3 and 2 Remake, and ended up falling in love, and now up on my shelf right now I have a physical copy of nearly every game in the series.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the addiction's taken hold.
It does that. It's
it's an addicting series.
But basically the section that that was a little bit surprising when I was 90% through a no damage run of Resident Evil 3 Remake Inferno. Well, probably about like 80%, and you're in the hospital, and there's 3 hunters on Inferno in this one room that you have to go into to get a cassette tape. And they don't come into the room that is beforehand unless you open the door and trigger them to come out. Well, this one hunter just came out on his own. He was just like, yo, I'm going to pay you a visit.
Holy
and
shit.
I'd never seen anything like that in my life. It was just, he came out, he broke the rules of the game. He broke my trust.
Yeah.
Everyone saw it. So I'm like, yo, someone at Capcom's getting fired right now. So someone call the Capcom cop, seriously.
That's Jesus fuck.
Yeah, but the game, it gives you trust issues. It makes you, paranoid. Like, what's going to come around the corner? You know, are you going to get what you expect from this game? But in all fairness, I still keep going back.
Yeah.
Like whether playing casual or challenge runs.
Yep.
You know, I love the games. You were just saying about like your first experience playing a Resident Evil game. And it reminded me because you said you were watching someone play it when you were younger. And I had a very similar experience in the sense that I had the game for Christmas when I was like 8, and this was Resident Evil 2 OG, so I may be showing my age a little bit there. But I had the game, and I kind of asked for the game for Christmas as a little bit of like a half, with half intent. Because at the time, I was very much a fan, and still am, of horror movies and zombie movies. Not all zombie movies, mainly like the George A. Romero ones, like the classics, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. And it was actually a bit of a problem. I'd be renting those movies constantly. I think my dad thought I had a problem anyway. And it got to a point where like I wanted to watch as many zombie movies as possible. And then I saw these PlayStation games, these Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll give them a go. But at the same time, as much as I love these zombie movies, zombies scared the shit out of me. The thought of getting overrun by zombies and getting, slowly and surely, but, bitten and munched to death, that's the worst, one of the worst ways to go.
It is a pretty terrifying thought.
So when you think about it, like if I'm watching a movie, if it gets to that point, I can just cover my eyes. Whatever's going to happen in the movie, it's been filmed, it's been edited, it's going to happen, In a video game, it's happening to me because I'm controlling that character.
Yeah, and you still have to keep playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does Resident Evil 2 do? It just starts you off. It throws you into the middle of the city where there's zombies everywhere, where there's fucking horrendous controls if you've never played the games before. I love tank controls now, but back in the day, first time playing them, oh boy.
Yeah.
So so on the back of that, then I was like, okay, thank you so much for this game that I asked for Christmas. I'm not going to play it. Instead, I'm going to get my older brother to play it for me and watch him play it. So I had to make my older brother suffer a little bit while I was hiding in the back like a puss.
Worth it in the end, though.
Yeah, well, I eventually did like start playing it a bit more. Like I'd see a bit more of what happened, and then I'd kind of try and get that little bit further myself. And then something just kind of hit me then. Something just clicked because while, my instant reaction to the game was horror and fear, later then I realized how good the mechanics of the game are, like the kind of, the puzzle solving, the exploration, needing one key to get to another area, to get another item, which will let you get to another previously unavailable area. This is what I say about Resident Evil. I was having a conversation with someone, like in terms of classic Resident Evil, and that can be like, the old ones from the 90s, or even like the remakes that they've done of 1, 2, and 3. Because I think they, for the most part, particularly 1 and 2, have done a good job of emulating that kind of experience.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Resi 1 remake, I think, is near enough a perfect remake. Keeps just enough of the classic game for it to still feel like the original, but it changes enough to keep it interesting.
Yeah, and it literally, the games are they're almost like puzzle games,
Mhm.
but with like all the, you know, the horror and the action and the,
Mm.
you know, the spookiness that's
And the
built
campy
around it,
dialogue.
and the campy dialogue. Yeah, especially the first one.
The
Oh
master
my
of
god.
unlocking.
Oh yeah, Jill Sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of those have just become memes now of the whole
And I
Resident Evil
love them.
community, and I wouldn't have it any other way, to be
Nope.
honest.
I wouldn't change the original Resi's voice acting for anything else.
No, well, I mean, they did. They tried to make changes to it for Deadly Silence, which was the DS version,
All
and
right.
I think they changed Richard's voice.
I think they
And
did, yeah.
and everyone's reaction to hearing the new Richard voice is just it's just confusion and
Yeah.
you know, horror.
It's not as good as the original. It's not as campy.
No, the original will go down in history, you know. And
it will.
I think, you know, the the whole reason why it was bad, like it was, I think every voice actor didn't really understand the context of what was happening in the scripts that they had.
Yeah.
So it just kind of ended up sounding like a bit of a random mess, you know, where, you know, one of my favorite line deliveries is where it's near the end of the game on Chris's scenario, and Chris starts laughing when the tyrant is revealed.
Yeah, I think I know the line you're going to talk about.
Yeah. And he's laughing. Is this your ultimate weapon? And Wesker's just like, and he starts laughing, and Wesker's like, Chris, stop it.
Yeah,
it
just sounds like a child. It's like,
yeah.
Chris, stop it. Stop
it. Stop taking
I
the mick
think-
out of my ultimate weapon.
Yeah, I think the funniest one for me is also from Chris's campaign when he's in the piano room and Rebecca comes in. And it's just,
Yeah.
Chris stares for like a couple seconds because it has to load the dialogue. Is that you, Rebecca? It's like she's been standing there for 10 seconds and now you're asking, is it her? I love
And then-
that delivery.
And the best thing about that, like, it seems like, is that you, Rebecca? And then she's like, is that you, Chris?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be in a loop there. And it's like, is that you, Rebecca? Is that you, Chris? Is that you, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Oh man,
I love it.
Yeah, I could literally just listen to that dialogue over and over and over. It is just classic. They did a better job in 2 and 3 on the PS1, and in fact, like, you know, even though the dialogue is still campy, I think the games overall have a campy, like, kind of almost B-movie vibe to them. You know, they feel like, you know, there's zombie movies, for fuck's sake, or zombie games. You know, they're not gonna have
they do,
you know, award-winning voice acting.
They do certainly emulate the sort of B-movie style in the dialogue.
Yeah,
Again, it's just great. I love it.
Yeah, they are just like they're timeless for me. But
yeah,
I play a lot of like tons of other games as well, mind. But Resident Evil seems to be the one that like has kind of landed on my Twitch stream. It's what I joined Twitch for. It's what I joined Twitch for. I joined Twitch for Resident Evil speedruns. I used to watch a couple of streamers do speedruns of Resident Evil 3 and other games. And, you know, I went onto Twitch and I joined Twitch for that love of Resident Evil and kind of just didn't go back. Didn't leave. I mean, never looked back. It was, and then a friend of mine started streaming. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll just give this a little go. And started, you know, building a little bit of a community, which has been, you know, been really nice, to be fair. I couldn't imagine not streaming now.
Yeah. So moving, good segue here onto one of my questions is, I ask this to everyone that comes on the show, is because I think it's a really good insight into people, and it's, where did the name SnookyShogun come from?
Oh, this is going to be like, this is probably going to be like a huge anticlimax. It's just 2 words put together. So one of them is my nickname. So one of my name is, well, without doxing myself too much. So my nickname is Snooky. Everyone calls me Snooky in the real world. Okay, that is just part of my name with a E on the end, if you guess. Then the Shogun bit comes from one of my favorite Trivium albums. So Trivium is one of the bands that I've grown up listening to, and I'm actually going to see next month as well. I'm actually going to go see them in Bristol.
Nice.
They're a heavy metal band, and yeah, I particularly love their third album. Is it the third album? No, fourth album, Shogun. And yeah, it is, and it's a self-titled song as well off that album.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much just running through a list, just brainstorming names, because my previous Twitch name was Snooky 2020 before I started streaming. And I thought, right, okay, it pretty much has the first bit that I want. It has the Snooky bit, which is pretty much that, you know, what I want people to call me, or people would generally call me. But 2020 was just, well, as you mentioned earlier with the pandemic, 2020 wasn't very cool at that time. It was cool when I made the username back in like 2003, you know. But that username was based off an album as well. There was a band called The Network, which was a spin-off band from Green Day.
Right.
So I was a huge Green Day fan growing up, and yeah, they had like a side project where they all wear masks, and they play kind of like new wave synth music and synth wave punk. And yeah, their album was called Money Money 2020.
Right.
And so pretty much all my usernames for most things became Snooky 2020 after that. In fact, I think on either PlayStation or Xbox, it's still there right now.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I thought
just how relevant it is that they were called 2020 and they were wearing masks and playing sort of synthwave. It's like two things that were like very prominent. Like, Jesus, these lads can see the future.
Yo, those lads, like, damn. Tell me the lottery numbers, please. Yeah, literally, though. I never thought of it like that, but that's quite an interesting way to look at it.
I just realized it, like, as you were telling me, I'm like, oh my God, they predicted it.
But yeah, it's so yeah, before I started streaming, I was like brainstorming different names, and I still got the list on my phone of some of the names, and some of them are just cringy as fuck. But I don't know if I can try and find them. But there was just like so many different like incarnations of putting Snooky next to some form of other word. Have I still got it?
Could possibly.
Oh yeah! Wow, wow! Yeah,
Ooh.
It's like this is gonna be just like cringe content.
Let's
go,
guys.
Let's
go.
So you know, Snooky Saiyan 3.
Ooh.
You know, well, and
Dragon Ball
Snooky,
fan much?
Maybe ever so slightly.
Ever so slightly.
Mr. Snooky. Snooky Ducky, which is another Green Day reference, I guess. There,
right? Okay.
Snooky Inferno, which I guess is that a Resident Evil 3 remake influence there? I don't know. Hopefully not. And then Crimson Shogun and Neon Shogun. So yeah, those are just like a couple of like the ones that I brainstormed in the process. And SnookyShogun is on this list. It's right at the middle of the pack. And so there were some that came before that idea came to mind, and then there were some that came after. And yeah, SnookyShogun's what I settled with.
It rolls off the tongue really well.
You know,
like just the way that it all kind of goes, and like I think it doesn't really depend on accent or anything to sound good.
Yeah,
like it just sounds good anyway. SnookyShogun.
It's been a blessing in disguise as well, because effectively what I was trying to do was just put like a word next to my nickname, just a word next to my name for something to sound kind of catchy. But at the same time, then I decided on Shogun, I've been able to build like this whole channel mascot that I have of the Shogun character. So the Shogun character we call Show Guy. And we got loads of different like iterations of him. We got him dressed up as a Doom guy playing the his metal guitar, and also giving the peace sign, because that's exactly what Doom guy would do. And we got a Dragon Ball Z kind of Super Saiyan version of him. We got all sorts. It's kind of a nice little channel mascot, which I don't think I would have maybe come to if I hadn't have decided on that name. So you know, I think it was just everything aligning for me to choose SnookyShogun, and then it's kind of built this recognizable you know, brand around it, I guess, now.
Yeah, plus it's allowed you to sort of, you know, give a name to your community as well.
Oh yeah.
Everything is, you know, the Shogunate and everything. It's like it's awesome. It really does make it feel like a community. You know, that it's like a group of like-minded individuals.
It's been I feel so lucky, man. I feel so incredibly lucky. It's like so many amazing people who've you know, either tuned into the streams or have joined the community, joined the Discord and everything. And you know, just every single day now I'm chatting with people around the world, whether that's off stream or on stream. It's just you know, it's just an absolute blessing. And you know, I started streaming as a bit of a hobby during COVID lockdown, just to break the monotony a little bit. And yeah, it's you know, it's turned into something entirely different.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, like, to come into your stream and to see just the amount of people consistently chatting, and not only trying to chat with you but also with one another as well. And then, like, in the Discord, you know, people are always sharing stuff and everything. It's really awesome to see, like, such a thriving community.
Yeah, that's like one of the wholesome things that you just touched on there, is where people, they come in but they also talk amongst themselves as well. They talk to each other, and like, you know, I can't, there's nothing I can do really to kind of make that happen. That's just, people will do that if they want to do it, you know. It's and you know, that's, I feel so incredibly lucky, you know, that there's so many great people you know,
probably
who enjoy the content.
Yeah, and probably, like, without knowing it, you've united people who will be, like, lifelong friends now, who without your stream would possibly never have met, which is
that's
insane
so scary
to think. It's insane to think about.
Yeah, like, people have said that to me, and like I think in my head, damn, that's like that's so incredible, but like so spooky that like one little, you know, thought in my head of like, oh, I should give this stream a go, as like kind of change the trajectory. Not trajectory, like that sounds a little bit too extreme, but like change, like, you know,
it's
like,
influenced people.
Some people's daily routine, in the sense of like, you know, they would never have even thought to go and watch my stream or you know, say hello in my Discord before then. But you know, that's the thing, I guess, you know, it's a bit of a life lesson, I guess. You know, you got to just be that, you know, be that inertia to the change. You know, you got to be that, you know, the first bit is always you know, the initial action, and what comes afterwards then is just you know, it's what you make of it, I guess.
Like I say,
it's crazy though.
Your community is genuinely amazing and like so welcoming and everything like that. Like,
they really are.
There's some communities you go into and they're inviting, but you never quite, you know, they don't interact the same way that yours does. Yours feels less like a following for a streamer and more like a tight knit group of friends almost.
Yeah.
It's the way the way it feels, despite the fact that there's no way that you could get to know each and every single one of them on a personal level. But
no, that's impossible.
They all,
you
know, but everyone just kind of bonds amongst themselves, and it makes it feel like this tight knit group of friends. We just also happen to be united under the fact that we all watch your streams.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, a lot of the people who come in as well, they're pretty much the same as me, in the sense of they're Resident Evil nerds like me, because I'm the biggest Resident Evil nerd, you know, or like, I talk a lot about movies as well. I'm a big movie nerd, you know, and you know, I'll just rant away about like different movies, like classic movies, whatever, for ages. And yeah, I think it'll strike a chord with a lot of people, because you know, we got a lot of like-minded people out there who will, you know, who will be like, oh, I remember that movie. If I'm talking about some weird, obscure movie from like the 80s or something, say, oh yeah, God, I remember that.
I remember
that. But to be fair, like I'd say every community on Twitch, every streamer has their own way about them, and you know, everyone's probably, either actively or inactively looking for some form of content that suits their own, palette, I guess. Like, this, I'm probably not everyone's cup of tea. Some people, you would may prefer the the more like sort of like chill, cozy, and just like more gameplay focused streams. I always like to, make the chat interaction the priority of the experience. I sometimes now say like my stream more times than not feels like a podcast, but with a game in the background, with a game as just the vessel to just have something to watch in the background.
It's a vessel for conversation.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And like you build a rapport with a lot of people who come in. You see new faces, but you also see a lot of returning faces. And you do build a bond, and you know some of the people then who are regulars, and if you can have a bit of banter with them, you learn that as you go along. So it's a lot of fun. It's rewarding, and I seriously just I'd recommend that to people. But everyone's got their own individual style, I guess, is what I was trying to go with that. With that point, you'll get like some more chill streamers, and then you got some which are very, very high interactive chat.
Yeah, I know that me personally, I try to strike a balance of interacting with chat and still trying to play like the game, because a lot of times if it's a first playthrough as well. Like the most recent one I've been doing is Silent Hill 3, and playing through that for the first time. So it's, at times it can be a really hard balance, because sometimes the game is not, like, I know during the last stream the game wasn't doing too much necessarily, like not much was really going on for me to focus on. It was more just that the game was in the background and chat was more active than usual. So it ended up being more, like you say, like a podcast with a game in the back.
I get what you mean with that.
But then I have other streams where the game ends up being the priority just because of like the type of game it maybe is.
Well, the way I kind of look at it is, pretty much 99% of people who will click onto your stream for the first time, they're probably going to click on because of the game that you're playing. Either whether it's they've never seen this game before and they want to see what it's like, or they're nostalgic for it. It's one of their favorite games, and they just want to see some of it. They want to see someone playing it, and the rest from that moment then is history. Whether or not they enjoy the cozy vibes, just chill, have a game on in the background while they're lurking or doing something else. Or if they want to talk to the streamer about their favorite game or about other games that they enjoy, or if they want to, if the streamer is quite like interactive, if they want to just kick back and enjoy the carnage, they enjoy the roasting of chat and all all that stuff. But it's a bit of something for everyone, I think, and I think it's good to have a balance. Actually, I think it's very good. I'm trying like something similar in terms of having a balance. So with no damage and challenge runs, which is like I mentioned, is pretty much one of the main things of my stream.
We'll come on to them soon and talk more about those in particular. But for now, we'll stick on Twitch specifically.
Yeah. So on Twitch, so some of the things that have with the no damage and with the Twitch stream and the challenge runs that I do, most people would expect me to be quite a more laid back. I think I am quite laid back in some aspects. I can strike a balance. Like I can be pretty chill and just kick back and enjoy the game, but it requires a lot of focus. And I think that's one thing that I'm trying to do differently in terms of like the no damage challenge running is, do the runs, get some really, really good gameplay, but also, behave like a clown at the same time, get that, get that kind of good gameplay, but I'm gonna crack some jokes and I'm gonna take the piss out of people, just just to add that extra bit of entertainment factor. So that's sort of what my mission is right now. Just sort of strike a balance of both, because you'll see some amazing no damage runners out there. There's some fantastic no damage runners, and the whole I think community of no damage is kind of chill for the most part. Where people just want to come in and they want to see some really, really, perfect and really clean gameplay, and see someone execute the game perfectly from start to finish. So I want to do that, but I also want to make dick jokes and stuff.
Strike the balance. Chill, clean, no damage gameplay, dick jokes.
Yes.
It's a hard balance.
That's literally the goal. That's the goal of SnookyShogun. That's the the mission statement, folks. Right there.
You heard it here first. That's the mission statement. Clean gameplay and dick jokes.
Yeah. So if you like the sound of that, you know where to find me.
You know where to find them. Links. So this is one of the things I wanted to talk about in particular, is your no damage runs and the process of them. So from choosing like how you're going to do it, to like making strats and stuff like that, and then to actually practicing for runs and then doing the runs. What is the talk me through your mind process when deciding, yes, I am going to do this without saving, not taking any damage for God knows how long on the hardest difficulties.
Okay. So first and probably most important thing is, and this might sound like an obvious one, but this will maybe separate the people who just fancy giving no damage a go, but they don't know a lot about it, or if they really, think that they want to give it a go. First thing I'd say is you got to make sure that you love the game. Make sure that you actually love the game, because there will be times where you hate that game when you're running in no damage. You've got to really, really have a deep enjoyment of the game, the core gameplay, just everything about it. This is why Resident Evil is perfect for me, because it's what I've grown up playing, and it's just always the thing I go back to. I could no damage other games, I could attempt to, but will I have the same experience? It'll be a bit more of a careful selection. But in terms of selection, it needs to be a game that is something that I know I love, and I'm not going to mind playing over and over and over again, because that's one thing you're going to experience is resets. You're gonna potentially be grinding this game for a long time, and you'll get to the very end of the game with no hits, and then you'll get bullshitted right at the end, and it's like, okay, back to the beginning again. It's that kind of thing. But don't get me wrong, it's not. That's not the whole fix of it. That I like the game, so that's fine. That's no longer annoying, because it does get annoying. You end up hating the game sometimes. But yeah, I watch a lot of people who do a similar thing to me. So I'll give just a couple of shout outs to people who've inspired me for no damage, and those are Matt DeRock, fantastic no damage runner, does God runs, just a genius. Like if you could I honestly think you could consider him a professional Resident Evil player. He's amazing, really inspired me, and I've watched a lot of his runs. But Don't Die Senpai, Soul Signal, very, very talented, very skilled no damage runners. Watching their streams just was quite inspiring to me. But at the same time, they're very, there's never any kind of secrecy with strats or tips on how to get better. The whole thing I love about this community is that we all want to see each other grow. We want this no damage community to grow, so we want people to go out and try their own runs and get runs. And it's also quite rewarding when you've got someone in your stream asking, I'm getting hit on this bit repeatedly, like, how do you do this? And it's like, I can show you how to do that, or I can tell you how to do that, no problem at all. And then they come back and they're like, I actually got the run, thank you. but yeah, it's it's interacting a lot in the community, watching other people's streams, sharing strats, but also then playing the game a lot. So whether that be on stream, whether you want to do learning and routing on stream, so or if you want to do it off stream. I've done a mixture of both, because when I'm streaming, like we've touched on this with my particular stream style, my focus and my concentration is probably about, it's probably like 65% chat and 35% game. I'm much less focused on the game than I am the chat. And if I really want to strap in and learn how to play this game at a high level, to get to a basic understanding of the route and what I need to do, what ammo I need to conserve, what bits I need to really pay attention to. A lot of that is planned and prepped online. Once you got the basics of the run, like the kind of blueprint of it, then I tend to go live and work that out on stream then and set a PB. So do a run, set a PB of how many hits I take, and then the great thing about like no damage as well, it's fun content to watch because you want to see people, like a bit like speedrunning, you want to see people get that quicker time, you want to see people get their PB down, you want to see them get the run. And it almost becomes like quite addictive. Is he gonna get it today? Is this gonna be the day? And even chat then will learn and know about the areas in the game coming up, thinking, right, oh, okay, here we go. It's the Sherry dog dodge in RE2. Here we go. Yeah. And it's like how everyone hold their breath, and then we get through, and it's like hallelujah. Yeah. But yeah, pretty much that's like the selection process. You decide what game you want to do, and you go with it. Resident Evil was a great starting point for me.
I know that after watching some of your streams, I was like, on stream, I was like, I'm gonna give Resi 1 a go. The only thing that killed it for me was the unskippable cutscenes at the beginning. After, like, I think maybe 2 or 3 resets, I was just like, oh, bollocks to this, I'm getting sick of watching these cutscenes. And I think if I was to go back and try it again, I'd probably do it with a game where, like maybe, Resi 2 Remake, Resi 3 Remake, where you can just skip cutscenes.
Yeah.
I'd probably do it with them instead, because it would probably be a bit less tedious for me.
As charming as the dialogue is, there's only so many times you can hear Barry. Where's Barry?
There's only so many times. Yeah, there's only so many times you can listen to Barry just go, "What was that?"
This is why one of my favorite games to run out of the original 3 on the PC versions is Resident Evil 3, because you can actually skip majority of the cutscenes in that one. You can't in Resident Evil 1 and 2 on the Source Next PC versions, but Resident Evil 3 you can. So I hope they're able to patch that one day or sort that out one day where you can skip the cutscenes, because I get what you mean.
That would be a lifesaver.
Yeah, because they're pretty quick games. But imagine if we had that luxury there where we could do that.
The dialogue.
Game changer, absolute game changer.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, the remakes are a lot better in that sense. Right. It keeps it keeps the momentum flowing as well, because that's an important thing. Because I'd find I think I did a stream more recently where I went back and revisited Resident Evil 3 Inferno, but I thought this time, while doing this no damage run, I'm just going to watch the cutscenes. I never watched the cutscenes in the whole time I was running it, and actually I fancy watching them, and there was loads of stuff that I'd forgotten about. But then I nearly got crushed by the giant boulder head in Resident Evil 3, because I was watching the cutscene and I was like, oh my god, this
suddenly
is awesome.
changes.
And then it suddenly changes, like, shit, I'm going to die. It's like, let alone take damage, I am going to die right now.
Yeah. So you've chosen your game, now you're on to the strats and everything and trying to plan it out. So how does that process work? Because I'm interested to hear this section, and I think other people might find it interesting.
So, you'll play through, I say the first things you want to do is just play through the game naturally. Just play through it like how you would normally play it, but without trying to take damage. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, you know, you don't ever play a game to try and take damage, but really, like, you know, go out of your way to, even if it takes you twice as long to beat the game, go out your way to really be careful, and not take damage. The more you play the game, the more familiar you are with the game, you'll start learning which rooms are the safe rooms, and I don't mean like the safe rooms that have the typewriters where you can save the game. I mean like which rooms are safe to, you know, go back and forth through, and which rooms are quite dangerous and you want to try and avoid them and only go through them once if need be. Or if you're going to go through them once, you know, are those rooms that you need to probably kill the enemies in to not worry about coming back and, you know, having them to deal with. It's just learning the game inside and out, learning, you know, exactly what route to take. So what is the most efficient way to get from start to finish with, you know, the least amount of danger, I guess. Learning what enemies to kill and what enemies to leave alive. Because also because it's a survival horror, you've got limited ammo. There's actually a surprisingly decent amount of ammo in a lot of them. But you know, if you still don't want to end up in a spot where you're using all your ammo early on in the game, and then you got nothing left then for the final boss.
Yeah, you're bollocks for the final boss.
Yeah. And I mean, I mean, to be fair, the games are a lot more generous than I think any of us ever remember. Like, I think everyone can relate with the fact that we would probably all hoard our magnum ammo for the final boss, and then we get to the final. Yeah, we get to the final boss. And then we got about like 30 magnum rounds, and the boss took like 6.
Yeah. Oh, I did it. I was playing through the Resi 5 DLC yesterday, just casually with a friend to record some footage, and we were playing the Lost in Nightmares DLC, which is the one that's the flashback with Chris and Jill.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the Magnum, and I had it on me, and I thought, well, I'll save this for the final boss. Completely forgetting that the game strips you of your weapons and leaves you with just a pistol for the final boss, because that's what happened in the cutscene. Yeah. So during the entire thing, I only ever used my pistol and didn't even use the Magnum once. And I was like, fuck.
Did you play that solo or co-op?
Co-op.
Yeah, because I played that co-op before, and I think it strips you of your weapons, and then you have like is it a pistol that it gives you?
Yeah, it's just a pistol for fighting Wesker.
Yeah, I think it leaves, if you're on co-op, it leaves you 2 pistols, 1 each.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I ran ahead. I picked up my pistol, and then I ran into the room and triggered the cutscene before my partner could pick up his pistol.
No, luckily we grabbed ours in time.
Yeah, I just wanted to go in there. I was too keen, and then my mate was like, "Yo, I didn't pick up my gun."
I think I also from the previous area had like maybe 3 flashes on me as well, just to chuck at him.
Yeah, so... it do be like that. Item management. Management is, you know, you'll learn all sorts of things, like, you know, what ammo works best on what enemies. Like, do a bit of research with it. You know, so you'll if you do, like, I keep going back to Resident Evil original, but you'll learn that acid rounds will tear ass against the yawn fight, which is the snake. You know, if you're playing as Jill, the flame round will take out Black Tiger in 1 shot. If you're playing as
hang on a minute.
Flame rounds. Use a flame round against Black Tiger. They'll die in 1 hit.
Bastard. The amount of ammo I've wasted on that fight now.
Yeah.
Just all of it. Shot. God, all of that's just came back now, and I'm just like, fuck.
And if you go into the yawn fight, in the that piano, is it a piano room, or it's in that large room?
The fireplace room.
That's the one. Use acid rounds, and if you're playing as Jill, you don't even have to move. You don't even have to move at all. Just hold the aim and shoot like 5 times, I think, and it's dead. It turns into a big fart cloud and disappears.
Fucking hell! I'm now just thinking, like, when I've played that game, just being like, God, the amount of time, ammo, and health that I've wasted.
Yeah. That's the thing, that this is all kind of cool as well, is because you learn so much about the games, and like, this is what was really, you know, really attracted me to it, was the fact, like, I love these games already, and I'm now learning so much more about them, like every day. Like I still learn stuff about them. You know, Resident Evil 1 and 2 Classic are pretty consistent for the most part when it comes to no damage. You know, you'll find like most enemies will die at, you know, with a certain amount of like, you know, ammunition or bullets or something. Apart from hard mode, which I'll get into in a second. Hard mode is exclusive to PC, Source Next. But yeah, it's pretty much just learning what ammunition does best and learning your ideal route, really. And if that's a combination of adopting strats that have already been you know, sort of set in the community. So like same as a speed run, a typical speed run will have a set route, which is an optimal route, an optimal fastest route that it's been tried and tested. And all you want to do is try and, you know, shave off a little bit of time here and there. It's almost the same thing for no damage. There is an optimal route. There is an optimal strat. But some things might work differently for yourself. You're not governed by time and no damage. You got to be as careful as you can. So, find things that work for you. There was the same for me when I was playing Resident Evil 3 original and the Gravedigger fight in like the park area. That I was thinking, I cannot do this. I cannot do this with the current strat, because the current strat involved dodging Gravedigger like 5 times in a row or something like that. And if you've ever played Resident Evil 3 original and you know that dodge. Yeah,
with the really finicky, unreliable dodge move.
Yeah, it's
every time,
not good.
Every time I've dodged in that game, it's been a complete and utter accident. I've never meant to do it.
Same. I've always been trying to shoot. Dodged.
Yeah, I've always been trying to shoot something that's right in front of me, and Joe goes, "Oh, I guess I'll just move."
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, that has saved my ass once or twice unintentionally when I've been doing no damage. But yeah, I don't think I've ever once actually done it intentionally. I mean, I attempted to learn how to do this strat, because this was the strat for Gravedigger. You'd wait for him to pop up out the ground, and you'd be in the corner, and he would lunge at you like 5 times or something. And after the 5th time, then that's when you could start shooting. And I thought, I'm like 2/3 into this run now, and I'm already sweating if I'm currently no damage. And now I have to do very, very precise dodges in order to not take a hit. I need to come up with something different. So I actually invented my own strat for that fight, which I call the crackhead strat. The reason I call it the crackhead strat is instead of sitting there and being very calm and precise and, you know, really, really, you know, direct with what inputs you're putting into the controller or the keyboard, I just run like a crackhead. So we run straight past him, and you get to another area and you start shooting at him. I learned that Gravedigger will lunge at you, and every single time he will stop at the exact same point. He won't reach Jill. So you know, just through fucking about in the game, this is one of the finest and, you know, funnest things of no damage stratting is just fucking about in the game. Just see what works. Yeah, just make a save state, or, you know, a debug menu state, or just a save file, and just try different things. Just experiment and see what works well for you. And I think I struck gold with that Gravedigger one, because my God, I can't dodge for shit.
Yeah, I know there's people out there that have learned that timing and they've got it down to like a science, you know, of like almost a frame perfect thing, but nah, not for me. I've never done that intentionally.
To be fair, if it came to the point where that was it, there was no hope, there was no other way of doing it, then I may have like had to be, well, you just got to suck it up and get on with it. Like
take the time to
Inferno.
Yeah, take the time to learn it.
The dodges on Resident Evil 3 Inferno, on Final Nemesis, you know, if you want to beat that boss, you just got to learn to dodge. You just got to dodge.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
There's literally no way around it. Actually, in fact, you could learn the dodges, learn the enemy's attacks, and then you'd still get bullshitted by acid.
Yeah.
Fuck that boss.
So that's how you sort of so it's a combination of, like, to sort of summarize, it's a combination of previously established strategies and a bit of fucking about and trying out your own things as well.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, everyone's got their own ideal way of doing things. There's things that, you know, I do that other people might think doesn't work for them. You know, there's still people who will do the, you know, that dodging strat with the gravedigger. But I won't attempt that because I just know it'll end in tears.
And the crackhead strat is just working.
But yeah, and lastly with like, you know, the whole process then is once you finally get to that point where you can see the end in sight, you can see you know you're getting it consistently, you're getting like, you know, most of the way through the game, or you're getting all the way through the game and with minimal damage, and you can see it's possible. That rush then, when you finally get it, is just, you know, it's so good. It's just such an accomplishment, such an achievement. It's so hype. You know, everyone, you know, seems to just want to like go crazy when, you know, a no damage run is done. I can remember when I got the Inferno run and, you know, I couldn't sit still. I just went and did a lap around the house. I just ran. I didn't know what to do. My feet just, my legs just needed to move.
Yeah. You just had to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I just went and did a lap around the house. There was people in my chat like saying GGs and everything. I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go for a run.
I have to go for a run now.
Yeah. So it's rewarding. It's very rewarding.
So with that, talking about the run, getting the run on stream, what's that like? Do you feel more pressure doing it on a stream than you would say if you were to just do it in your own time for your own amusement?
Well, I'd say it is a little bit more pressure, especially when you get into areas of the game, or the God run, like, which is multiple runs back to back, which you know are risky and you know have been run killers. It can be heart wrenching. You can feel your heart pounding in your chest. Very very nerve wracking. You know, especially if it's like an entire run with this moment at stake, and you know how important it is. You are going to be feeling a little bit of nerves. You are going to be sweating a little bit, but you know, it's worth it in the end. It is worth it in the end once you get that magic run, because it's hard to describe it. It's just such a nice, rewarding feeling. And then in that mind, then it's almost like you feel like you're free. So being a no damage runner and being what's known as in one hit prison, we call it. One hit prison is where you've got one hit on your PB. You got one hit and you're just trying to get the game down to 0 hits. Now you can't get any better apart from just not getting hit in the entire game. So getting out of prison, it's that feeling. It just feels freeing. You know, it's like, yes, I don't have to play this shit ever again. Although I probably will. I probably will come back to it. Do you maybe feel that there's more pressure to get the run being, you know, going live as you do to do these runs, and you know, you maybe have a day where you're like, okay, we're just gonna do the run, and there's, you know, you get to a part, it kills a run, and blah, 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 and that sort of stuff. Do you feel that when you're doing it live, there's almost a pressure to get it to provide content that people want? Because obviously your chat wants to see you get the run and things like that. Do you find that there's maybe a bit more pressure to deliver? Kind of like how some speedrunners describe GDQ as being more pressure than their live streams? In a way, yes. Like, I mean, I guess one of my mindsets is there's only as much pressure as what you put on yourself. You know, when it comes to no damage, and when it would come to speedruns as well, some people are only going to want to watch the best. They're only going to watch like the person who runs these games the quickest, the person who runs these games with absolutely no damage. Some people just want to watch streams for the top tier gameplay. You know, and this is where, like, I find, okay, that's fine. I personally want to take that pressure off myself and try and deliver a form of entertaining stream and be entertaining, be personable, make some jokes, because that kind of, if I mess up on a no damage run, well, we can all have a laugh about it, you know, and that's the vibe. That's the vibe that I want to go for in the stream. If people come in and, you know, are expecting me to get no damage runs every single stream, first of all, they're delusional, because I don't think any no damage runner just does that, you know, just gets multiple no damage runs. It's a process.
No, because as you say, the games throw bullshit at you.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's same with speedrunners. I know I keep referencing back to speedrunners, but I think they go side by side for a lot of things.
I think so, yeah.
It's like, you know, you'll probably see an entire stream of a high level speedrunner where they have to reset over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that pressure. There is that pressure to deliver the good runs and deliver, you know, the results, but. At the same time, I think a lot of people join for the journey. They see you when, you know, you're playing the game and you're getting like 10 plus hits in a run, and then they see you whittle it down and strat it and you know, really, you know, focus to getting it down to one hit, and then it's just a matter of time then. But I do feel pressure sometimes, because I think, okay, I would love to be able to just play games at such a high level constantly and get just no damage after no damage. It almost would become like a show then. It's just you know, a show where it's expected, where no damage runs are going to be achieved, but it's not like that for me. You got to kind of break it down into like a realistic mindset. The stream has no damage runs, but more importantly, it's got, you know, a great community. It's got, you know, a lot of banter, a lot of laughs. We got some great sound effects and stuff to go off. And, you know, if I get a no damage run in the middle of that, then that's just a bonus, you know?
Yeah.
And this is where I think, like yourself, what you described is like striking that fine balance. But everyone's different. Everyone has their own style. I think if you went into no damage with the mindset of, I need to get a no damage run every single stream, every run needs to be a no damage, you're gonna get burnt out and you're gonna be miserable, because one of the lessons, one of the things I say about no damage is in no damage, most of the time you will fail. That's just the way it is. Most of the time you will fail. You'll go through all those failing moments to get that one taste of success. When you finally get the run.
That's actually awesome to like hear the process and everything behind it. So a lot of it's about your mindset then going into the run. Rather than obviously there's a lot to do with like your practice and your strats, but a lot of it is mentally.
It's definitely a mental challenge. And concentration as well.
Yeah, the concentration, and also keeping yourself from getting like too down about, you know, if a run goes badly. You know, just to sort of take it, move on, try again.
And I'd be lying if I said like it doesn't happen if like you get bullshitted by the game, or you take a stupid hit, or you lose concentration and you're on a good run, and then it's just it's over. You know, you do get hard on yourself. But I think that's the same for anyone, you know, if you put in that amount of hours into something. But usually, you know, I'll have a bit of a rant and rave about the game. Another one of my no damage rules. I think this is one like mainly exclusive to my own channel, but I always say rule number one of no damage is to blame chat. So if I take a hit, I've probably blamed you at some point, Ross.
I think you blamed me the other day, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I came into your stream and you just went, you fucker.
Yeah, literally. If I take a hit, I usually blame chat, and then I'll roast them for a couple of minutes, and then I feel nice. I feel good.
Get the frustration out.
Yeah, and it goes down a treat, like, because everyone has we all have a bit of a laugh about it, and at the end, then
it's
like,
become almost a tradition.
Yeah. So it's turning the negative into a positive, and it just helps with the interaction as well. Then, but yeah, I think that's kind of become a bit of my style as well.
Yeah. So far we've spoken a lot about your escapades on Twitch. You know, your live broadcasts and everything. But you also do you've also started doing a bit of YouTube stuff.
Yes.
How have you found the shift to not live, bro? I know a lot of your videos, like, you know, your no damage runs are taken from stream. But for example, the videos that aren't like your recent guide, I guess, on how to do Leon A in Resi 2 Remake on hardcore.
Yeah.
No save, no damage. How do you find the shift from live broadcast to, you know, having to go in and having to like record voiceover and edit stuff down and, you know,
it's
chop things and things like that?
It's definitely a learning curve. It's definitely something that like I need to become more comfortable with, because I actually commented about you the other day, where, you know, how comfortable you are just sat in front of a camera, like, and I was like, wow, I admire that so much, because I can talk live to people, and I can like talk to you now and feel just completely comfortable, just feel so at ease. But if I'm on my own and I switch on that camera, I freeze up. I don't know what it is. It's a completely different experience for me. And I'm like, okay. And then I watch it back, and it just doesn't, it just doesn't give the vibe that I want it to. So there's a lot more to learn in terms of the YouTube content that I want to make. I've experimented a lot. I've experimented with taking my VODs and chopping them up and editing them, you know, with some success. But I think, you know, that my main thing at the moment is the Twitch, but I am trying to eventually grow YouTube. But as it stands at the moment, I'm kind of in the troubleshooting, the kind of trial and error, realm of it, where seeing what works well, seeing what doesn't.
In fairness, my trial and error era lasted 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
I went through 4 years from 2014 to 2018 of doing a wide variety of vastly different genres of YouTube before I settled on what I wanted to do. And then even then, in I think roughly about 2020, I changed it again because I wasn't able to get the same content anymore. So I had to change my style just to suit like my real life.
Yeah.
Because I used to do a lot of sort of high energy, you know, quick cutting of clips of me and my friends playing games. But the problem was that we started to not play games as much, and also when we were, the recordings just weren't coming out as good because we're so far in on in-jokes that now we have like in-jokes built on top of in-jokes and in-jokes, so we can't, they're not actually funny when you watch them back. It's funny to me, but it wouldn't be funny to anyone else without the, you know, years worth of context to all the jokes. So eventually I was like, okay, what else could I do? And that's when I did my first game review. And since then, I've just been refining that style of content. Yeah. And then occasionally doing, you know, some of my older stuff as well, throwing it in when I can, when the right situation arises. But a lot of the time now it's reviews and scripted content. This is the only thing I think I do now somewhat regularly that isn't scripted.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of would like to get better at is being able to, you know, get a script together, sit in front of a camera and, you know, plan and coordinate a video. Yeah. So it's all kind of uncharted territory for me. As it stands right now, like I said, I'm experimenting, I'm trying new things. So even to this day, like the latest video I posted, which was the full commentary guide of how to no damage Resident Evil 2 remake. That was, you know, new uncharted territory for me because I'd never done an actual voice recording for anything really, you know, for anything. So I always want to try different things. Thank you, appreciate it.
I thoroughly enjoyed, because it's sort of the thing like I'm doing right now, where basically it's like a version of getting to pick your brain and being like, okay, so what you know, so you see it on the stream and everything, and you do explain things, but also there's certain bits that you'll have done so much that, you know, and people in your chat get to know that they don't get explained as often.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool thing to be able to watch the run and be like, so that's what you're thinking here, and this is why you're doing this. And it's a really nice style of content. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm usually too busy blaming chat to describe any of my strats in the stream. So I'm thinking, you know, in terms of what's kind of you know, within my current, you know, what knowledge, what I'm good at is that. So that's kind of what I've repurposed into making is, you know, some form of like guide or some form of, because I know more and more people are getting interested about no damage. They want to give it a go themselves. And I know there's some people who've messaged me and have said, yo, I've watched your video and I'm doing a no damage run. I'm using your video as a guide. And that's so nice. You know, that's so nice that like even, you know, a small YouTube video that I've made has been able to, you know, help like one or two people. So you know, I'm gonna continue maybe doing some more stuff like that. But in terms of the, you know, the videos where it was taken a VOD, I got a mortuary assistant video, which I think turned out really well. It was a video that I edited, and I kind of it's more like a stream highlights video or a game highlights video where I've just kind of spliced together the funny segments, kind of you know, made a few memey jokes and things in there, a couple of nice edits. And I had a lot of fun with it, but it's the most time consuming to do. And if I'm trying to focus and grow on my stream, it's tough to balance doing that amount of editing as well. I want to be able to deliver consistent videos. And I think the only way I'm going to be able to do that right now is with the videos that I'm doing. But I'm sure I'll work something out. There's like loads of ideas that come and go into my head.
This is why
you know,
like, sorry, I'll let you finish there.
It's just, you know, another thing was like video essays, you know, talking about like, you know, retrospectives on games and stuff like that, or even just like game reviews. Like I know you've done a few game reviews and just...
Oh, I've certainly done a few.
You know, just kind of just trying different things. And I think the more and more I do something, the more I'll become comfortable with it. I look back at my streams when I first started 2 years ago, and it's like watching a completely different person, because I don't know, it's all uncharted territory. It's all new. You don't know how to act, how to, you know, behave, and then you just kind of feel comfortable in it. Then you just sort of think, okay, well, I can just be myself and do what I do, and I'm liking the result. And people are liking the result. So, you know, eventually my plan is to keep, you know, the consistency going with YouTube, and, you know, find that rhythm, find what works for me. And, you know, even if it isn't a video that will, you know, hit off and have loads and loads of views, I'm happy if I can just make videos that I think are good and good enough to share with people. And, you know, either going to like give some value to people or help people, or just be funny, just be, you know, good to watch. That's the most important thing for me. Of course, you know, I'd be lying if I said like I wouldn't want my videos to be, you know, going really, you know, big in terms of views and growing my YouTube channel, because that is the goal. I would love to grow my YouTube channel, but I want to be proud in the content I make. I don't want to just post content for the sake of it. I want to actually make something that is unique, something that's mine, that I can be proud of, and then I'll feel, you know, satisfied if it, you know, if it does start gaining some traction.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've started doing now with my more recent reviews. Is sometimes I would put tons of work into one and then not as much work into another. I'm starting to consistently put more work in onto every one of them, because I see it as a thing of like, if this one blows up, then there's going to be some stuff. Yeah, there's going to be some stuff from before that they're going to watch. So I want all of that to be, if not as good, at least close to.
Yeah.
So I know that the last couple ones I've been taking a lot more time on, Especially in terms of, because I'm on camera and stuff, the cinematography at times and going places to film rather than just in my room.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones we did, me and a friend who was helping me film, we went, I think, about an hour or something by train out to a location just because it looked vaguely like the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fuck it, this looks awesome. And all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is why I was curious. This is why I was curious to ask you about going from Twitch broadcast to YouTube, because I did it the other way. I started on YouTube and then went to live broadcasting. So the way I see it is that my YouTube stuff is, things that I mull over for like a couple weeks. I take my time on, and then the stream is just something that I can be like, well, I'll just, I want to chill out, play some games. Why not just go live and do it there?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for doing YouTube stuff, there's definitely much more scope to have like more creativity. I think, do a lot more different things. Like you just said, you can go to some random location and film a video there.
Yep.
It's with live streaming, obviously, you need to be, at your setup for the most part, unless you're doing IRL streams, I guess, which is a different thing.
Mm.
But yeah, you've got, I like that idea of just being creative, being spontaneous, and, just being unashamedly yourself as well. Just kind of just doing what, you feel would be great content to make, making it. I think it's really, I think
that's
really
been the hard journey for me, is finding out what I'm good at, what style of content can I consistently make, and I've landed on reviews as my content, and I feel it's something that suits who I am as a person, because I'm someone who is fascinated by game design but would never dream of doing it. So I like to see my videos as going as far into game design as I can with the basic knowledge that I have, but also having the consumer perspective rather than, the developer perspective.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's the thing you'll find is like you'll continue to evolve with that as well. There'll be things that, things that like, pique your interest, or things that you want to talk about.
I rewatched my first review the other day of Resi 3 Remake. It was the first thing. I put weeks of work into it, and I was so happy that it was 15 minutes long. I was like, that's a good length for a review. I went and watched it. My voice sounds so awful. You can tell that I'm really nervous. And I'm sort of, right up to the microphone, speaking really, really quietly. And, because I'm trying not to upset anyone in the house that might be listening, and I sound like a weirdo talking about zombies. And now, it's unashamedly like... Also, my accent has been something that I've been dealing with recently, and actually just letting it out a little more. Rather than, I used to have a sort of... I still do at times have sort of a presenter voice where I sort of clean it up a little, and don't use, I don't let the accent out as much as maybe I should at times.
I know exactly what you mean with that, because before I started streaming, I was paranoid that no one would be able to understand me.
Oh, I had the same thing, because like people constantly joke about how the Scottish accent is just unintelligible. And like you can't tell what the fuck they're saying, and I'm like, seriously, fuck's sake, right? So I would clean it up a bit, I would say everything properly, and I would enunciate my words and everything, and then now on something like a podcast, I just unashamedly let the accent kind of out a little bit more. Still struggle with it from time to time, but that's because of muscle memory. Of right, we put on the presenter voice, we're at the microphone. So yeah,
but to be fair, I've had no issues understanding everything you say. I think you've got a great you got a great accent. But the thing is, through doing Twitch, you meet lots of other people from loads of different areas of the world. There's people all around Europe. There's people, you know, in Asia and stuff who are speaking English. You know, they can speak English on stream, and we'll be able to understand them. So
yeah,
I think as long as you're, you know, you're clear in what you're saying, and you know, is there are some accents that are like a little bit tougher to understand, but I think that's also down to people not like really communicating properly as well. So I think maybe that's what like gets into our mindset is, oh, am I communicating properly? Am I communicating clearly?
Am I clear in my intentions and what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the things that I was kind of paranoid about when I started streaming was that the Welsh, they tend to talk very quickly. I'll go off on one sometimes, and I'll start talking really quickly, and I gotta rein myself back in.
Yeah.
I watch it back, and I think, okay, well, that wasn't actually too bad. Maybe it's just in my head. And then gradually you just become more and more comfortable with it. You just accept that this is your voice, and you know, you'll get the occasional person who may ask what your accent is. Actually, while I've been on Twitch, I don't think I've really had any negativity around my accent at all. I've only really had
around mine.
Kindness around it. I think
I've actually had people encourage it.
Yeah. Surprising, and that's the exact opposite of what we thought.
Yeah, there's sort of an ongoing joke amongst people that, for example, if I'm streaming later at night and I get tired, the accent slowly just gets thicker. So eventually people just go, oh fuck, the full accent has just come out, he must be knackered. Or it's if someone starts me talking about something that is Scottish or it includes a lot of slang, then the accent thickens up. Probably in the course of this podcast, since I've started talking about accents, my accent will have gotten a bit thicker.
I know what you mean, though, because there's a lot of people who come into the stream and who are Welsh, and they'll come in with Welsh like idioms and Welsh sayings and phrases and greetings, and you naturally will respond in a similar manner, and probably revert back to more of the Valley's Welsh there, a bit more than intended, but you know, it happens, and I think a lot of people are just kind of fascinated by it. If anything, you know, it's kind of just it's different because you've got the typical, you know, British accent. I know there's so many different British accents, but people in their own minds have the idea of the British accents, don't they?
The James Bond RP accent.
Yes, exactly. And then, you know, with this American accents, which obviously there's different types of American accent, but there are just there's a lot of different and interesting accents out there, and I think that's what people
reminds me of a video I saw once where someone was talking about what would James Bond be like with different regional accents. And it was amazing to watch, like hearing him go through like Manchester, Scouse.
Oh my god!
But saying things that are James Bond, and it's like, that it doesn't really work. It doesn't work. Like the sort of suaveness and everything just doesn't come across in other accents.
But it'd be interesting to see like how many people would think that is not actually a British accent, because they technically, you know, are British accents, you know, a Scouse accent or a Geordie accent.
I mean, technically right now we count as British accents. Yeah. We sound fuck all like James Bond.
Yeah, it's like, but when people come in and say, yo, are you English? Then that's when I gotta start hurling abuse.
I've had Irish a few times.
You've heard Irish a few times?
I've had Irish a couple of times, people thinking I'm Irish. And it's like, I'm like, you're close, not quite. They're close.
It's interesting though, because I've had people in real life, now think that I sound English, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And these are people from Wales, but it's because you go like, you know, it's certain areas of Wales are super Welshy, just very thick Welsh accents, very rich Welsh accents, and then you go into like the city, and you know, it's more sounding towards the English accent there. It's almost become a very, very diluted Welsh accent. So I'm kind of in the halfway realm.
Yeah, I don't even have the thickest accent. In fact, with us, with me, it seems to be the opposite. If you go into the main city, that's where you find the bulk of the accent is.
Yeah.
So specifically for me, kind of around Glasgow, I'm on sort of the outskirts. I'm not even in the main city. I'm like half an hour out from it, and my accent is a lot less thick than people who grew up in the city.
You know what else?
I still do have my
moments
though.
Is the local dialect and the local the local like terms that you use, because there's a lot of like words and a lot of like things that we say or abbreviate that are known within the local community, the local your home community or the country, but they would sound like nonsense to absolute everyone else outside. So people will come into my stream and be like, "Oh, Snooky is sapling butt," like that. That's basically what a greeting would be in my Valleys area. But if I'm talking like that for a full 3 hours, then I can imagine that would probably get a little bit confusing because we're
because
talking in
nobody else
in
knows
Welsh.
What the fuck you're on about?
It's almost like we're talking in Welsh idioms, So I think it's important as well, though, like when you rationalize it and think, okay, are people going to understand my accent? Well, you're still speaking English. You're speaking clear English. There could be the opportunity to throw in a couple of your local terms or your local things.
A couple of things in there.
If I ever do that, people ask me, they're like, "What does that mean?
What does
that mean?"
Yeah. I had a funny interaction with that with my friends, because my friends are from Europe, and I said, "Oh, this thing's broke. I'm just gonna fuck that in the bin." That's a very common thing here, to just say, fuck it in the bin. And they asked me, they turned around and they just said, very confused, "You're going to fuck that in the bin?" And I was like, shit, that doesn't travel. The other one that didn't travel was the phrase "ripping the piss."
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, that apparently doesn't travel out the UK, and I'm like, seriously? I was like, really? Ripping the piss? That doesn't travel? And they're like, never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, it's funny. It's so funny. Like, one of the Welsh
That's
ones
like the few encounters I've had. It's been with close friends that I've had it more, because they hear more the natural accent rather than on stream. Stream do occasionally hear it, but I generally keep it less local and more just kind of general for on stream so that people can understand.
What I was going to say, just on the back of what you were saying there, one of the things that that's become noticed that I say, or I did say, and it's just become a meme now. And this is really kind of flattering as well, because you get people from across the pond. You get people from America also in it. One of the Welsh things is, "I'll be back now in a minute." That's like a Welsh idiom right there, and it makes no sense. It's like, what, you're going to be back now in a minute?
In a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Scottish version of that is that a lot of the time we go, "Aye, but no."
Aye, but not.
Yeah. It's like, "Aye, but no." It's like, yeah. It just doesn't make sense. Just yes and no.
Yeah, we like to confuse people. We thrive on confusing all individuals, and I'm going to continue to do this. It's my mission.
Yeah. So I think with that, we've sort of covered everything. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. This one, I've had you in mind for ages, and it's just been trying to get the time.
Yeah, I know. I've been wanting to come on as well. Yeah. I'm just like, I need to try and set aside the time and get it done. But I'm glad I come on, and thank you so much for the invite. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
It's been amazing. So, like I said at the start, if you want to find Snooky anywhere, all the links will be in the description, whether that's on YouTube or on Spotify. And if you've enjoyed and you're on YouTube, please subscribe, do all that stuff. Like the video, share it around. If you're on Spotify, consider following the podcast. It's not overly regular, but hopefully it can entertain you at least. And once again, thank you to Snooky for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. having you on.
Much love, dude. Thank you very much. You've been an amazing host.
Thank you very much. And with that, I shall see you all next time. Bye.